Welcome to the Overmare Studios. Like what? Third podcast? This is like the post-con podcast, and my name is Zach. These other two guys, unfortunately, are Drag and Hamish.
Hello.
Hello. So, yeah, we planned on doing this a lot earlier than we're actually doing it now. And as you might have noticed, we planned on doing our pre-con podcast much earlier than we all actually ended up posting it because of...
Actually, yeah, we did make it in time, but we never actually could finish any editing and uploading it, unfortunately.
Yes.
Again,
because
all
Drag,
you
by
people,
his own admission, procrastinated.
all you people that said that you added Drag on Skype, which I seen a couple said that they did, make sure that you blame him. Send him messages saying, "Why didn't you do it, Drag?"
You can blame me for only 1 week,
No,
1 week
no.
delay.
No, do it forever. Make sure he realizes that you guys never forget anything. Ever. Anyways, so in this podcast, we're actually going to go through our little experiences and all that for the 3 cons that we attended this year, which are Galacon, BronyCon, and Czequestria. Now, while truth be told, Galacon and Czequestria were pretty standard in terms of like previous cons that we've gone to, the BronyCon one we actually have quite a bit to talk about because that was actually the first time we ever had a booth, which was definitely an interesting experience to say the least.
Yeah, but we'll go into more detail about that a bit later in the podcast.
We'll go through Galacon and Czequestria first because honestly the BronyCon one will probably take the longest. So, first off, I wasn't actually at either Galacon or Czequestria because I am just a humble American that doesn't have the funds to travel across countries at will, like these two guys.
Yeah,
So,
I was at Galacon, but I wasn't at Czequestria. Hamish was the only one who attended both, but he didn't
Yes,
attend
and I didn't.
BronyCon.
he's
Indeed,
using that...
because I am a poor Britisher who doesn't have enough money to go across to America.
You can't handle our freedom over here. Our freedom to not leave. Either way, so yeah, you two were at Galacon. Like you guys should talk about that. Like, what was it like?
We should.
What did you do? Did you meet people? Did you eat interesting foods? Wait, that's in like England, right? So no, you didn't. But did you meet people?
It was in Germany.
Oh God.
You're thinking of Buck. Buck's in the UK, Galacon's in Germany. But then again, your comment still does apply because it's Germany.
Okay,
so.
you Europeans have so many countries, it's just very difficult to keep track of. I mean, first there was like the UK, and then there's like that one real big country above that, like you start with an R. I don't even know. It's weird. And then Drag, you live in like Ireland, like you had like a revolution or something, right?
Finland, but close enough.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just very confusing. I mean, over here in the United States, I mean, it's all simple. We're all just, the United States. I mean, we have 50 fucking states, but hey, it's all the same thing. I mean, you just go to California, and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is exactly like South Carolina.
Yeah. Well, the country we happened to be in was indeed Germany. So, Drag, why don't you want to tell us what happened?
Well, in terms of our official presence there, like, we didn't have much else other than the panel we had there, which was like, actually we didn't originally even plan going there, but like then at the last minute we decided to apply for it, and they were more than happy to have us there, for which we are grateful. So yeah, we had a panel there on, I can't even remember which day it was. I think it was Saturday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we had a panel there. It was successful. There was like standing room only in the room we had, if even that.
It was a small room.
It was small.
We maxed it out, so I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, you can call it a success, I think.
Indeed.
Well, even if
in terms of...
Oh, yeah, go.
Oh. I was saying in terms of videos, because people like to see videos of our panels, we don't know when that's going to happen. We know it was definitely recorded by the Galacon crew, but when it's going to be uploaded, we have no idea. I don't believe it's uploaded as of yet. I haven't actually checked. Have you checked recently, Drag?
I haven't, but we'll check it, and like when it happens, like we'll post about it on our social media accounts and whatnot.
Yeah.
We just need to start getting our own we just need to get our own cameras and start recording our own panels. This
that's what we did for Crystal Fair and Brony Expo. And
no, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I think.
Yeah, for Crystal Fair and Brony.
No. Brony Expo had someone that I think he just recorded.
It was in the audience or something.
Well, no, I think someone actually he was going around and recording all of the panels, and I think wasn't that the same deal with Brony Expo? Like I could have sworn that we were waiting for it, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Like the point more is that we need to get a camera, we need to record these things so that yeah, specifically you guys, because most of our panels have been in the European area.
Yeah. At Czequestria, our panels have always actually been recorded and uploaded in a timely manner, so we should actually link those at some point if we haven't already, because we've got 2 now. So
I think we have to link them on our Twitter and stuff, but I need to double check that.
I'm pretty sure we don't have the second one up on the YouTube channel at least. I know we have the first one. Actually, wait, no, we don't have either of them.
We don't have either of them. They've been recorded by someone else. But what we will do is link them in the description below this video and also on whatever blog post we put on our main website as well.
As they come up.
So.
Well, we still should definitely start looking into recording our own podcast so that...
We should.
Or not podcasts, panels, so that we can actually have them on our own YouTube channel so that people aren't just running around the internet looking for them. But you guys also met up with... Stable-Tech Studios and Legends of Equestria, correct?
We did. They had a pretty sizable delegation there at Galacon.
They're worthy followers.
Sorry?
They're followers. They all gathered among you.
I meant in terms of the people working on the project rather than the sort of followers, but... there was quite a few of them there. We had many lunches, lots of networking and exchanging of business cards going on. It was just a really good experience to sort of meet people running similar projects to ours. It was great sort of talking about all our different experiences and seeing, sort of saying, yeah, this is exactly the same situation that we were in, and sort of getting to know each other based on that.
Yeah, funny enough, as far as I know, this was the first time we actually ever properly talked to Legends of Equestria guys, or not to mention met them in person.
Well, even Stable-Tech Studios, before this, it's been kind of it wasn't really a truly
we have talked to Stable-Tech Studios for a long time, but this was the first time we ever met any of them in person.
Yeah, plus the talks were relatively small time before. I mean, we did have some of the more serious sort of business talks before, but even those were rather small and not that big. But it was really then that we kind of compared projects and actually got a chance to really talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but Legends of Equestria, we'd never spoken to ever.
Yeah.
At all. So that was definitely a new experience meeting those guys. But speaking of, a lot of people always ask us, a lot of people confuse us for Stable-Tech and Unstable-Tech for us. And a lot of people also ask us, are you guys sharing any things with them? And they ask Stable-Tech, are you guys sharing any things with Overmare Studios? In fact, that was at their panels, at the panel at Galacon, they mentioned that and at Czequestria they mentioned that as well. And the answer is immediately no, but maybe in future something. Again, talks are pending, we'll have to exactly see what the deal is with that, but maybe is the answer.
It's not as a very simple matter, especially since with Stable-Tech Studios, both are Fallout Equestria based projects, but one is any animation and one is a game, so it's it's very hard to like share certain types of assets to begin with, but like we still like, despite of like whether we will do any like that type of cooperation in the future, like we'll definitely still like keep talking to them and keep friends with them and whatnot.
Well, even in like style alone, there's a pretty big difference between our two. I mean, ignoring the whole realism style, I mean, just the way that we actually design things and how it's supposed to look is quite different between the two teams.
Oh yeah, but that comes down to like one is 3D game and one is 2D animation.
No, I more meant.
Well, I think there's a difference still, though, isn't there?
Well, no.
Yeah.
Like a better way of thinking of it is like if you were to compare our concepts of, say, I don't know, the Sprite Bot to their concepts for the Sprite Bot, you would have like both would obviously be relatively similar in shape. I mean, you still have the wings, you still have the faceplate, and you have the little like antennas and all that sort of deal. But, you know, there's still a very difference in style between those two, even though they're both 2D and they're both supposed to be the same exact thing.
I mean, basically what it comes down to is they're doing a slightly more cartoony style, and that's not just because they're doing an animation, but you could put the sort of style that they're doing into 3D as well and make a game out of it, but and similarly, you could take our sort of super realistic style and put that into an animation, but we're not doing that. We have different styles as well as different media, so sharing 2D assets like that, not really possible. But yeah, we're looking into things that forms of collaboration that might be going on.
Yeah, and like I said, despite of whether that goes through or not, like we'll definitely still keep in touch with them, and we have other like things we have like talk about with them, so yeah.
And was it Hamish, you were the only one at Czequestria, so you're kind of the only person that can really tell what happened there. You're the only witness to the events that foretold or happened at
Indeed, the many horrifying events. Well, actually, it wasn't many horrifying events.
Well, you did meet
up with There was one horrifying event.
You did meet up with AJ, so I mean,
like
shit was bound to go
into
down.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, like I did hear like that. Didn't you guys like witness a fight there?
Well, this is actually the first time I ever heard of this. Like, this is the first time I ever heard of this.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was there firsthand. I was right at the door. We did indeed have a panel there. That panel was on Sunday, on the second day, third day really, but yeah, Sunday, it was again very much a success. We pretty much, I don't think we quite packed out the room, but it was a very very big audience. This was the main hall we actually got, not some side room. We actually got the main hall in Czequestria, and yeah, we definitely got a very good audience there. Loads of really enthusiastic people, loads of questions from people. We got the sort of representative of the Russian for Czequestria community came and had a chat to us.
Which I remember that this Czequestria, actually, I could understand, because if I remember correctly, the last Czequestria panel that we had, which did not have any English people on it, it was just like AJ, it was in pretty much all Czech, so I couldn't understand it. And then in this one,
what?
That wasn't the Czequestria. That was
Festival
like
Fantasy.
I could have sworn that.
No, Czequestria.
Czequestria last year. It was me, Hamish, Nahka, and AJ. Like all four of us were there.
Oh, never mind then. Carry on.
Anyway, you never actually got into that
fight. Yeah, that was an interesting thing. So you'll probably be able to find out more information about this if you want. But essentially, on Saturday, when we were sort of bringing all of our equipment in from the sort of the concert, the party that was sort of going on, and we were going to bring it outside, and then Ivory was noticed that there was some sort of commotion going on at the front, and he told us to quickly bring everything sort of back further inside, and then he proceeded to get his wallet out and put it in his bag, and I was like, oh, are we putting our wallets in here now? And he said, well, no, not unless you want to fight. And I was like, whoa, okay, so this is actually getting serious. And I looked outside the door. There was 2 double glass doors, And there were people who were sort of stuck outside essentially because they'd closed the doors to make sure. There was basically like five bunch of drunken guys who had previously been refused entry and were now basically coming to attack and harass the people inside. So there was a bunch of people still stuck outside. These guys who had brought glasses and stuff, they were not messing around. They were definitely up for a scuffle. They were really sort of going at it. They were just really trying to injure some people. Fortunately, the con staff there, particularly the chairs, Jameis and Melgar, they were very good at putting a stop to this and managed to hold them off. So big props to them, as well as Ivory, who went out there of his own volition to actually restrain one of the guys. So again, big props to him. Eventually, the police turned up. They'd been they'd showed up before and said okay, and sort of moved them on and said okay, if these guys give you trouble again, call this number. It's a quick response number, and then we'll come and put a stop to it. And they showed up again very quickly, within a few minutes essentially of calling them the second time. And this is the bit I remember the most. This one cop came up. He did not look happy at all that these guys were back, and he sort of shouted something at the guy. The guy then, very wisely decided to take a swing at him, and the cop responded by basically knocking the guy out or otherwise disabling him in one punch, which was quite amazing to see. I was very impressed with that. And there was 4 police cars there, and they sort of bundled them up pretty quickly and, dealt with things from that point on. So, yeah, it was definitely an experience of sorts because I'm very sheltered. I've never experienced anything like that. And it was a wonder that no one was actually seriously injured. There was some injuries, but you would think that people would be cut from the glass, but we were lucky enough that didn't actually happen. And it all ended up being resolved pretty quickly and professionally by the con staff and the police. So, yeah, that was the fight at Czequestria.
Needless to say, bronies are hardcore, man.
Indeed.
Sitting there bringing out glass bottles for a freaking fight, man.
Well, these weren't bronies in this case. These were some drunken assholes who were from the bar below. They weren't.
I thought that I thought you said that they were actually like people that went out and got drunk and now are trying to come into the con itself.
No, they tried to get into the con just because they wanted in for reasons.
Yeah, I think it was without any actual tickets or anything.
Oh, of course, yeah, they just wanted in, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were just being assholes in general, and they obviously turned away, and they threatened to be back, and they were back, and then they all got arrested. So yeah,
eventful event that was as well. Wasn't Stapletech Studios also at Czequestria?
They were, yes. So we didn't get a chance to actually meet up with them too much. Well, we did. We had a bit of a chat. They had their panel there as well, which we went to, of course. So yeah, they were most certainly there, and yeah, it was good.
So it was like that all for that con, or should we move on to BronyCon?
I think that's about it for Czequestria, yeah, off the top of my head. So, yeah, BronyCon, which I wasn't there for. So, guys, what went down?
Well, everything went down.
Well, for one thing, there wasn't any knife fight, so I'll put that out there. I mean, it was an eventful thing, but no one was threatening to get stabbed.
Clearly not as hardcore as me then.
I don't know. You should have seen these guys selling water outside the building. Those guys seemed pretty hardcore.
They meant business.
But in all seriousness, though, the first day was pretty much nothing but us just setting up. Like, if you wanted to count the true first day that we were there.
Yeah, the Thursday.
Yeah, that was just us setting up, which it ended up being that I came a little bit late, so we I think it was you guys were just kind of chilling there for like about an hour or so until I actually managed to show up. And then after that, it took a freaking hour just to get the stuff into the building, because actually getting stuff from point A to point B, like inside the building, was rather not really hectic, but it involved a lot of sitting around waiting for people to say, yeah, just go ahead, bring it in, yeah, right through there.
Yeah. Since it is a major, was a major convention, so obviously there was a lot of, organization, involved in that and managing everything.
And then, we set everything up, and the first day came around, and I think that was the day that we actually got the most sales, actually, in terms of posters and all that. Like, we made, well,
we made a decent amount.
We made a decent amount of money on the first day. The second day was about the same. There was a little bit less sales on the third day, but there was still quite a few sales. But yeah, like in terms of actually like money and all that, we did pretty good on that end. But in terms of the actual like demo and the email signups, that was pretty crazy. I mean, we had at least I think almost 400 people just walked up to sign in their email. And in terms of people actually watching the demo, we ended up getting so many people that they had to close off the entrance that was right by us. So they turned it into an exit only.
Yeah, which kind of sort of backfired for us, since that meant that we didn't get as much traffic from to our end, since it was literally on the other end of the vendor hall, as opposed to any of the other entrances.
Yeah, there was another exit as well, wasn't there? So it wasn't like people were forced to go by you; they could just go out the other way.
Not to mention,
that ended up being pretty bad for us over the course of the con.
Not to mention, we were kind of forced into this, what we like to call the dark, dank, forbidden corner, because some of the lights weren't working as well as they could be. So the entire area that we were was much, much darker than the rest of the convention.
And then there was the flickering light, so it was kind of appropriate given the topic of our game, but not necessarily best for vending.
Yeah, we just need to get Prowler and Ryan next year to wear ghoul suits.
Yeah.
We'll strap Ryan up in a bunch of Christmas lights and make him one of the glowing ones.
Yeah. Yeah, we did definitely get a lot of people both trying the demo and just watching other people play the demo. There was constant crowd around that.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see, and we did get a lot of feedback on that and people liked it more than we expected them to.
A lot more than we expected to.
Yeah, since it didn't as usual, nothing ever goes according to plan. So the first build we had there was extremely buggy and had a lot of things broken that we just knew it was broken, but
people were kind of ignoring it.
Well, we should sort of say about how that sort of came about. Basically, the idea was we ended up cutting it really fine as always. I think Stabletech coined the phrase "last minute studios," which very much applies to us as well in a lot of things. So I'm going to steal that, I think. But yes,
granted, they got it even shorter than us, since the presentation they had, or the video they were showing off at their panel, they literally rendered it minutes before it started. So
well, to be fair,
they won the prize for that.
Well, to be fair, even Legends of Equestria, they were on the panel. And I think one of their computers or something broke, one of their laptops. So they actually called out into the crowd to get someone to come up with a tablet or a laptop in order to actually show off their stuff. They had some guy that had some tablet that he came up and they had him sitting on the panel, and he was just kind of chilling there. He didn't know what to do. He was just Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
important. I don't know what to do.
But yeah, they worked it out, and like, but yeah, what it comes down to is Murphy's law is a real thing, and
It is.
everything else goes down. But
So we
yeah,
were cutting
go on,
it.
Hamish.
Oh yeah, sorry. We were cutting it really fine. And the idea was, well, basically because Drag and everyone else left in order to actually fly there, and sort of they flew pretty early on, like on Thursday or Wednesday evening or something like that.
Wednesday morning.
Or Wednesday morning even, exactly. So for Wednesday and Thursday, I was basically on my own doing the thing. And it felt very odd because I was like, oh, guys, I want to tell you about this. But it's like, oh, yeah, there's just no one here. I ended up just posting in the admin chat, where can someone talk to me because I'm so lonely. But anyway, so I was sort of fixing this up. But I had a thing to go to as well. I had to go home back to my parents' house for a part of the summer. And I thought, okay, well, I'm doing the best that I can here. So this was on sort of Thursday, again, sort of Thursday afternoon, I had to leave. And on sort of Wednesday evening, I was like, okay, well, here's what I got so far. And I just did a quick sort of build of roughly where I was at. And sort of posted that just so that people could see where we were at. And, just as a sort of insurance, I guess, in case that things didn't work out when I got back home. And surprise, surprise, they didn't work out when I got back home, because the computer that I had there that I thought would be reasonably able to run Unity because it could before, decided that it wasn't going to run Unity. And it ended up just not working, period. So as a result, for the first day of the convention, the build which they were using was that one that I made on Wednesday for funsies, essentially, just as a quick thing that I didn't really put any effort into whatsoever. And that was why we were so shocked that it was received so well. We honestly thought that it would be sort of torn to shreds and people would be just so indifferent to it, but no, they seem to like it quite a bit from what I've heard. Later on, I did.
A little funny story about that build that we used. We actually probably wouldn't have even had it if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to try out the demo, like prior to us getting there. Before I hadn't actually like even really messed with the demo at all. So whenever you posted that build on the drive, I was like, I'll give it a try just to see what it's like. And I downloaded it onto my computer, and then, that like ended up like the real reason why we didn't get anything better was because whenever we got there, we didn't have internet connection at the actual con itself. So we were sitting there scratching our heads for a little while, like, what are we even supposed to do? We don't have the demo. We can't download it. We don't have the repository. What's going on? And then we're like, well, I have that build that I downloaded, like, prior to this. It's just kind of there. It's like, screw it. Let's just use that.
Yeah, I did actually, I did have a repository and whatnot on my laptop.
Oh, I had it too, but we couldn't get on the internet.
The reason it didn't work out because Unity these days likes to enforce that it checks your license and whatnot, so you need to be connected online to do it, or get online other way and get the validation through that. And because we weren't able to do that, it essentially meant we weren't able to open and build our more later build.
And it was just filled with so many things that would be so easy to fix as well. Things like the developer console that was just there taking up the screen space because you had to close it every time. That's you just need to rebuild it with that option turned off, and that's fixed. And there's so many other sort of things like that as well. But yeah, it ended up being much worse than we anticipated it would be. But still, it's strangely very well received. I guess it's sort of one of these things that other people sort of, I guess, haven't seen it before. To them, it is a new thing. The idea of a for Czequestria game being a thing at all is kind of incredible to some people. Of course, not to us, because we've been working on the damn thing for the past 3 years. But yeah.
Yeah, it comes down to when you're working on something so close, you see everything bad about it, and you kind of get the tunnel vision, so you don't see what is so special about it. But that's why it was kind of an eye-opening experience to us as well when we like realized that not everything we post needs to be 100% fixed. Like since we are still like in a way pre-alpha and whatnot, like obviously the final product will need to be, but at this stage it's fine for things to not be perfect, and people will still find something to enjoy about them.
Yeah. Of course, this doesn't mean that we're going to start producing a whole bunch of crappy content. Of course, we are going to still make quality stuff, but yeah, maybe you'll see a little bit more. What's the word? Carefreeness from us in future, perhaps.
Well,
not carefreeness as such, but more that like we will not like be as like I'm missing the word here, but like
strict
we don't
about it. Sort of thing.
Strict about everything being absolutely perfect before we actually like release it. Like even if there are some like known bugs about something, like we might still like release it and just let people know what's up with it.
Yeah.
And so on, but yeah, and like because of those said bugs, like basically like it was kind of fun process that went on between me and Hamish, since I was like the first day on Friday and like the evening as well, like and the night, like I was like trying to fix it on my end, like all the like most major breaking bugs, because Hamish could not get his open, so he could not fix them.
So we ended up having to sort of tell each other, like Drag would say, okay, I've got this problem now. And then I'd sort of look at the code and say, okay, you need to do this and you need to put these lines there. And we'd sort of do this coding across Skype, essentially.
It's even more funny.
Yeah, while at the same time, like I was doing other stuff. And then there was the whole, like, since different time zones and whatnot. And like, at times, like, since I was doing partially fixing it during the convention as well, so it was kind of like that, like one of us would ask something and other one would answer an hour later.
Yeah.
It gets even more funny because while he was actually fixing it at the convention, like we had it on the second, like not monitor, like the TV. So like all of the development stuff was actually like all the coding and all that was on the big screen, and he actually was gathering a crowd just watching him code. Like he was sitting there coding, surprised. And people were just sitting there watching him type in numbers. So apparently people think that was impressive as well. It's like, you know what? I could do this. I could be a programmer. He's just typing in numbers. Shit, I can do that.
Well, that is a sort of big part of sort of polishing the builds, is tweaking all these constants for movement and for... movement and sort of aiming and shooting and all this sort of stuff. It's, that's kind of a big deal doing that. So, yeah, lots of numbers.
Lots of numbers, lots of words. But yeah, like it was definitely an experience, but like in overall, I think we can call all of the cons a success.
Yes.
And like we did get at BronyCon, we did get a more polished build like midway through Saturday. Mm. So like with more like stuff fixed and like weapons actually doing damage out of the pistols, since the first buggy build we had, like only pistols were actually able to do any kind of damage whatsoever.
Which it was kind of
that's another thing. It was literally just the damage was set to 0 for everything else because I hadn't bothered to change it.
Well, that's what's really funny is that there were people that were playing it and they were like using, say, the assault rifle or the shotgun, and they would be sitting there shooting at the protect ponies trying to kill them, but, they weren't doing any damage, but they still kept doing it. They would just sit there, they would reload, they would keep shooting at it, and then Naka would be standing behind them like, that doesn't actually work. And there's like, okay. And he just continues using it. It's like,
yeah,
whatever makes you happy.
I heard comments, people didn't think it was broken, they just thought it was really difficult. Like, oh man, this is so hard, this game, wow, and it's like, okay.
I don't know about that, but I don't know about like people saying that it was hard, but I do know that there was a lot of people that were actually saying that it wasn't broken and stuff like that. Like we had like little papers that people could kind of fill out in order to provide feedback, which gets even more funny because before the con, we were writing that up, and a lot of people thought that it was pointless because everyone thought that no one would actually fill that out. And we ended up getting, like, probably at least 300 pages from that, at least. I mean, there was a lot of... It even got worse because we were sitting there trying to print them out as they were being filled out. And the printer that I brought with me is this old piece of crap from probably like 2007 that barely runs and prints at the speed of smell. So we're sitting there trying to print these things out, and it just sometimes decides not to print, and I'm not even lying on that. At one point, we had it where it would only print every other page. It would print one, then it would decide not to print, and it would just sit there and slowly push out the next page. Then it would print another one, and then just slowly print or push out the next page, completely with nothing on it. Like, there was no, like, little scratch marks or anything. Like, it was trying to print, but it was just, like, something was wrong with the printer itself. It just, like, slowly pushed it out. It didn't have any ink on it at all. And even worse...
Yeah, I just pushed out a fresh page, like, it was perfectly usable again, but, like, every other page was like that for a while.
Yeah, and then before that, like, I was trying to print out the example images for, like, our little binder that we had up there for people to look through. Whenever I was at home, first off, it was an experience trying to get that thing to just print those in the first place, but eventually I got it to look tolerable enough that you could at least tell what was you were going to be buying. And then, which actually, the fact that we had, like, it was kind of dark over in our area kind of worked out in our advantage in that case, because the example images were not very good. They were just, something was wrong with the colors. But yeah, later on, whenever we were actually writing or making our little price page, like the little thingy that we have our prices and our deals on, which we actually made at the convention itself. Like, we were trying to print that out, and probably, like, we tried 5 times, and it just decided not to do it. Like, just, like, I think it was the center would only have color, and the rest of it would just be these lines.
No, yeah, it basically ran out of color.
I don't think it did.
Because, like, it was all, like the one we had prepared for it was all, like, nicely colored, like, with our, like, usual colors and whatnot, and real nice looking, but in the end it decided to not want to do it.
So we just ended up printing it in black and white.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, everything did not go as planned. Hell, actually, not even 5 minutes. Actually, not even that. About 5 minutes into trying to set up stuff, I ended up, like, just destroying my freaking finger. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to, like, we brought a big a TV stand to put the TV on, and we didn't have a knife, which I knew I should have brought, like, some kind of box cutter, but I ended up not bringing it. But yeah, we didn't have a knife, so we used these scissors that I brought with us just as kind of like a knife, and I ended up accidentally slicing my finger open, and everyone was like, "Oh, you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then we're sitting there working on it, and I noticed that there's, like, blood on the box. I'm like, "Wait, I think I'm bleeding." And then I raised my hand up, and just this freaking gush of blood is just going down my hand. I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm bleeding." And I'm like, "Hey, do you guys got a Band-Aid or something?" He's like, "No, you should go talk to one of the staff members," and then commenced an adventure just to try to get one of the staff members to find out where their infirmary was, which I assured them I didn't need to go to the infirmary. I needed the Band-Aid. But no, yeah. I had to go to an infirmary. And that was funny because whenever I got there was probably 8 people sitting in that room, and they looked bored as all hell. They were just chilling there, all relaxed, just sitting there. And, like, me and her walked in. It's like, we got an injury, and they all jump up. It's like, "What is it?" And it's like I got a paper cut. It's like, "Oh." And he walks over with this big bundle of Band-Aids, and he's like, "Here." It's like, "I only need one. Just take them."
Finally, someone got hurt. We can treat them.
Yeah. I mean, they had a fully stocked infirmary too. Like they had this big ass, like probably triple table filled with nothing but supplies and all that, ranging from band-aids to probably some kind of medical brace to freaking even. There was just everything there, like literally everything you could imagine. I think they even had like a.
To be fair, it was a convention of 10,000 people, so they need to be prepared. So like that, it's probably it's much better thing for them to have overstock and like more people than they need than the other way around.
Yeah. But yeah, like I mean, it was definitely an event. Nothing worked as planned.
Yeah,
Nothing
but
ever
in the
works
end,
as planned.
in the end, everything did still work out and like.
Oh, that's another story. Is the actual last day, which was pretty hectic because we were all trying. Like we waited until the very very last moment for everyone to get leave because. Hell, even after, I think it was about 30 minutes, even after everyone was supposed to be out of the convention hall, we still had people that were at our booth sitting there talking to us, asking
No,
for
it
stuff.
wasn't even long. Like, we needed to be out by 9 and we were out before 7.
Well, no. I mean, like, the audience. Like, there was
Okay, audience.
Yeah, there was, like, some audience members that were still in the convention hall about 30 minutes after it was supposed to, like, the public con was supposed to end, and they were sitting there talking to us, like looking at our posters and all that, and we were sitting there trying to pack everything up while also talking to them as well. So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah, and we sold a couple more posters, like, and that time, like, by the time we had already like basically packed them up, so we had to reopen everything.
Yeah. Well, what was it? It was even better is that like there was one guy that walked up and he's sitting there talking to us about the stuff, and like he's like, well, if you like our project, we would be really glad if you could support the project and buy a poster. And he's like, I don't have very much room on my wall. I can't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if you want, I have these example images that you could buy for $1 if you want. He's like, oh, these would work perfectly. And so we sold a couple of the really terrible example images.
To be fair, they did have a fancy paper, and like they were a lot better than normally printed.
Yeah, I made sure that I did get the fancy paper for it. Like the paper was like $30 or something. But either way.
Yeah, they weren't bad, but they weren't anywhere close to the actual poster that we had.
Yeah, and then was it after that, because I didn't want to actually deal with the paper, and I didn't really feel like throwing them away. And since that guy bought one, I'm like, okay, maybe they're not nearly as bad as I thought they were. So I go and turn to Ryan, hand him the binders, like, here, go to the different vendors and give these to them. So he runs off, and then later on, it turns out that several people actually ended up, like, I can't remember if it was Brayburned. Yes, that Brayburned. If it was him or one other person that insisted that they had to pay for the example image. Like, they wanted it, and Ryan was going to give it to them absolutely for free, but they insisted that they had to pay for it, so they gave us $5 for that, even though we were only giving them away for $1. And then there was another person that ended up trading a poster to him for one of the prints as well. So that was actually interesting. Which actually, we also gave a free poster to Stable-Tech. Like, I don't know which individual member got it. I'm pretty sure there was I like to imagine that they had like a little battle to the death over it after they got it. But yeah, we gave them one of our Negotiating with Savages posters. We thought we were very clever on that. But yeah, and there was actually there was actually 2 people at the convention at the very end that they couldn't take their prints with them on the plane, so they ended up going around the convention, as well as convincing a couple other con staff to go around the convention, just giving their posters away for free. So
Yeah,
me,
vendor perks.
yeah, all of us. Like as soon as one person would come back, like some other person would be walking back as well. It's like, hey, this guy is giving out free posters as well. It's like, where? And then immediately you would see all of us just sprinting off to go find them. I ended up coming home with way more posters than I could ever put on my wall. And there was even this one kind of weird poster that had, like, it was printed on, like, some kind of rubber stuff.
Mat or some kind.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. And then, who was the guys next to us? I can't remember their names.
I can't remember their names either. Like
I know that they were selling those little bags, but I can't remember who they were. But
yeah, and they had the
buttons and the bits.
Bitcoins and yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny because like we were trying to get as much information as possible while we were at the convention, trying to, you know, so that next year we could have an even better stockpile of loot and swag to give away. But
yeah, which we do have big plans for, by the way.
Yeah,
so keep and be posted for that.
Yeah, we definitely have. Like we already plan on having more stuff than we did last year. So that I can say. What it will entail, I don't know. Which actually, if you want to help us out on that, in the comments or even on our forums, be sure to tell us what exactly you would like us to sell at the convention, and something.
Yeah, like whether it be buttons or like more different kind of posters or like whatever like comes to your mind really.
And
like
even another thing that actually is helpful is if you would give us like a sort of estimated price on how much you think that would be worth. Like if say you were a vendor or something and you would sell it, how much would you sell it for?
Yeah, or like if you were buying it, like how much would you feel comfortable in paying for it?
Yeah, that would definitely be helpful. But anyways, shit, I actually forget what I was oh yeah, I was talking to them and they had this little button press and I was kind of curious about it. I kind of wanted to see about getting our own button press, so I asked him, you know, how much does it cost? He was like, about 120. I was like, yeah, that's not that bad. I mean, compared to the posters, that's cheap. And he's like, yeah, it's definitely an investment. Lots of people love buttons here at conventions. Like, so how exactly does it work? Like, what do you need for it? And he's like, oh, here, let me, what kind of button would you like? Here, I can make you one real quick. And it's like, oh, I guess, yeah, sure, why not? Just make whatever. And he ended up making me a free button. So, yeah. Needless to say, the moral of the story, kids, is to make sure you talk to people. Be social. Make friends. And those friends can give you free loot.
So, guys, after this huge adventure with selling things and that, I'd imagine that our server costs are basically completely paid for now, pretty much.
Not entirely.
They
But
are
like
rather expensive.
What?
Yeah, like we are. Like it was a success, but it wasn't a huge success financially. But like we never aimed to like, or did it just for the money anyway. Like we covered our expenses.
You were about to say we never aimed to make any money, but that is an outright lie, and you know it.
It wasn't the main reason. Like, yeah, we aimed to make money,
No. We did not aim to make any money at all. Pre-order now this exclusive DLC for only $39.99. Comes with free Applejack DLC hat with
your posters
with tactical camo and I don't know, like maybe a silencer for your hat. Yes, your hat.
Yes, that sounds about right.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't quite make like in terms of like the server costs and all that, which I mean that was kind of lame. But on the other hand, you know, we did pay for the amount, like for the posters themselves, as well as the shipping expenses for those, and even the things that we needed for the panel itself. I mean, like it wasn't a loss like in terms of what we're used to, but you know, we didn't come back with any extra money. So
well, yeah. we made more we made money when looking at the poster cost. Essentially, we made money on that.
Yeah.
But we didn't make money when you count in all of our extra expenses, which were quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like
that's not counting the individual expenses. Like we are talking about stuff like the vendor badges, which are each extra one cost money, and like the booth itself, and
like the booth alone,
stuff like that, and general like all the miscellaneous utilities and whatnot that we like had to buy.
Yeah, I mean, the booth alone cost about like at least $350, I think it is. Which, funny enough,
I don't think it was that high, but
I'm pretty sure it was pretty high.
It was pretty high, but like I can.
Which, funny enough, we plan on actually getting a bigger booth next year, because it turns out that even though we got what we thought whenever we were going there would be a larger booth than we needed, it ended up being much smaller than we thought, because we had so many people helping out and so much going on at the booth that we couldn't have any more than 2 people behind it, between the posters sitting behind the booth, the fact that someone needed to man the laptop, which, by the way, we need to make sure that we have an American laptop next year, because this year we had Drag's laptop, which is a Finnish laptop, so anytime someone walked up to sign in their names, we had to sit there and explain to them how a Finnish laptop works, which is slightly different than
was it the keyboard?
It was the it was the at symbol.
Yeah, every single time, it became rehearsed after like a little while. Of any time someone even just glanced at it, I would immediately walk over. It's like, okay, so you have to hold down the Alt GR and then press Alt, or the 2.
It's like all keyboard layouts, apart from UK and American ones, have some weird, have some symbols that require weird combinations to get to. Like Spanish keyboards, right? They don't have curly braces on them whatsoever, so you can't write any programming in them. It's like, and you wonder why there aren't any Spanish programmers? Well, that's why, because they have curly braces on the keyboard.
Now you just pissed off
those. The annoying thing about it was with the add symbol is that like it works with Alt GR, but not if you are pressing Alt and Control like separately. Like even though it's supposed to be essentially the same combination.
Was it? There was actually one guy that was like, he's like, oh, this is like a European laptop. I just don't understand why these primitive Americans don't make their laptops like this as well. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You don't get the symbols or anything. Which, I mean, to be fair, we do have the symbols, but on the other hand, you have to sit there and put in this crazy freaking coding key, like stuff in order to do it. It's like, you want to put down like some umlauts, you have to sit there and press Alt 2, 4, 5 or something like that, and then.
Do you guys do you guys not have that in the US?
No, ours don't.
You don't have alt codes. Wow.
No, they have alt codes, but they don't have the umlauts as separate keys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, of course. I mean, yeah, same in Britain. We just have the only real difference is that we have a pound sign on the, as in, well, you guys have a pound, what you call a pound, and we have a pound as in what we call a pound, which is for our money.
We call
what you call a pound a hash. What? And we have that where you guys have the.
Well, no. We got. Okay, so there's the pound as in the British money, the pound as in what we weigh things with, and then the pound key, which is actually what these kids are calling nowadays the hashtag.
Well, we just call it a hash. We'd never called it a hashtag, but we did call it a hash. But you guys, what you guys call a pound, we have a pound there, but it's our money pound and not the pound key pound.
Oh wait, we don't actually have a key for. Like as in pound,
no, it's shift 3.
Moral of the story: next year get American laptop for American conventions.
Wait, shift 3. Yeah. And anyways,
so what do you think we've learned from our sort of experiences in selling things? Let's say firstly that the idea that we were going to sell 500 or indeed 2,500 posters was kind of ridiculous when you looked at it.
Yeah, we definitely
we did overestimate, but like we have already taken measures for that, and like we'll let everyone know more next year by the time we had plans for them, or more exact plans.
that next year we'll have the official Overmare Studios bonfire where we burn all of our overstock to get rid of it.
That is, unless you buy it first. Or is it?
Order now
Actually,
and you get a
know.
free Little Pip plushie that Hamish made.
That actually does like flow into like one of the questions we have been getting since conventions is like whether people will be able to like buy them online or just like later on, like the posters. And for that, like we are looking into it, but at the moment we can't promise like that you will be able to buy them by any specific date or like at all necessarily. Like we'll try to look into it, but there is a lot of things that play into it. So
I mean, we would definitely like to, because we do have a lot of stock and we need a bit of money. So we would love to be able to sell them, but setting up a web store is very different from just going to a convention and selling it. There's a lot more admin involved with that, and maybe even laws involved with that.
Yeah, and then there is like the actual like handling the postage of everything, and so on. So like we'll look into it, and like when we learn more, like we'll let you know. But like most likely, at least like cons next year, like you will be able, like we'll most likely bring like part of the overstock we had from this year as well, in addition to whatever like we will be printing next year.
Yeah, we're definitely already planning on making a full new set of posters for people to get next year, which are going to be in a much larger range of styles and
And we'll hopefully be printing them out at the booth, won't we? That's the idea.
Yeah, that's actually something that we learned the hard way. We talked to a couple people that make a profession out of this, actually. They pretty much go around.
I think it was Brony House was one of them.
Yeah, it was well, Brony House, I'm pretty sure were the ones that we talked to specifically in great detail, but I know that also the Traveling Pony Museum, they also did the same exact thing, and there were a couple other people that, like larger groups as well, that did it as well. Like I seen a couple booths that looked like where it was one large booth, but a couple artists would all like kind of work together, and one guy would say bring a printer, and they would all just kind of share it. But like one thing that we actually did learn is that to buy a professional grade printer, it actually costs about the same amount, and like this would all combine with the price of buying the printer, buying the ink, and the paper. It would come out to either only slightly more than what we paid this year for the posters, or possibly even slightly less than what we paid. So
I thought it was significantly less, or was that just the printer?
Yeah, that was just the printer. The printer is definitely less, but I mean, we would obviously want to get, like, if we're printing our own, we obviously want to try to get like different paper sizes and stuff for people that don't want to have like a super large poster.
Yeah, and like the printer would only be a one-off cost, so like
exactly.
So like it's something that it is still a lot of money for us, and like it will be an investment if we end up going that route, but like it will most likely be like very like beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, I mean,
and then we'll probably bring a lot of our overstock to any new conventions and then sell them for like half the price of like a printed one to encourage you to buy all our overstock.
Obviously, we'll also have like all the posters that we had last year as available prints as well, which would be printed in ultra high HD definition printer paper and all this other stuff. But we would also have the current ones as well. I mean, that's not to say that the ones that we got this year weren't well printed. I mean, I know that whenever we first opened them, we were all blown away by the quality because, funny enough, the actual quality of the prints looked better on the paper than they did in the file itself. I know that for the posters that I made myself, which, by the way, I made a couple of those posters myself, like they actually ended up being much, much, much better than what I thought they were going to look like. Because I was sure that they were going to be like the worst of the ones that we were going to be selling. But, then we got there, I looked at them like, wow, this actually looks a lot better. But I mean, it's not even just mine.
It's
I mean,
a wonder what good quality printing will do to an image. But yeah, like we'll see to like getting a printer and other stuff like and other like stuff we have planned for like fixing our mistakes this year for next year, and like we'll keep you guys posted as we like decide on that and learn how we're gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like
I mentioned before, like next year we also plan on having a lot more like different kind of stuff and not just posters. Just as always popular bottle caps. We have several planned for those, and well, obviously then the buttons as well,
and magnets if you don't want the button.
Yeah,
like magnets and buttons are pretty much like they're pretty much the same thing. They're pretty much the same thing in terms of how you make them. Like, so like. Making magnets and buttons, like that's like it kind of goes together.
Yeah, and then obviously like Jack already mentioned earlier in the podcast, like if you have any ideas on what else we could be selling, like we're all open for those. So like just post it on the comments or on our forums or wherever, and we'll see what we can do about them.
Which, since we've done it so far for the last few podcasts that we've released. Like, let's just quickly answer a couple of questions. We're already, actually, no, we started about an hour now. Like, we've been talking for about an hour, so we can't go into too many questions, but we can at least answer some.
Yeah, at least a couple real quick ones.
Okay, let's open up our trusty little forum topic. Which, by the way, if you guys want your question answered, the best place to do it is to go onto the forums. That's single-handedly the best way of doing it. We'll probably actually start up a more official one that doesn't relate to the last batch of questions. So if you guys want any questions answered in future podcasts, make sure you post it in that topic that should be created by the time that this is released, and hopefully it will be answered in either this podcast or a future podcast.
Yeah, like we do still read all of our comments on our YouTube channel and whatnot, but because we get so many like there, like it's hard to like remember to like all of the questions we get there, and some of them might just get like blurred into the mass. So like that's why like our forums are generally like we look at them a bit more often. So and because we have specific topics for like the questions or stuff, it's a lot more easier to gather them up. For us, that is.
Which, Drag, you actually saw a good question. I can't honestly remember what it was now since we started, but what was that one question that you brought up? I know you wrote it down somewhere. See something about. Well, if you can find it, we'll try to answer it. But yeah.
One question was about like more videos regarding like gameplay and stuff.
Oh yeah. That was the question. Yeah, in terms of that, we definitely plan on having more gameplay videos and such. I know that we've been kind of lax on that, and honestly, that was mostly because of the con. We wanted most of that stuff to be sort of a reveal at the con. I know we had their combat demo or video and all that, but yeah, like within the coming months, we definitely plan on creating some more videos, some that probably will even go into some of the details already released, but
actually showing them in action.
Well, actually, that would be quite a good thing to do, like a sort of a commentated playthrough of the demo when we release it. Because that, people will be interested in the sort of the design decisions that we've made, and sort of how things work in it, and sort of an explanation of.
We'll definitely look at that whenever the
features.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that whenever the public demo comes out. Which, again, just to repeat from last week, the one that we'll be releasing, what we call Wave 2 of the demo, in hopefully like. About actually,
it'll be a week from when we release this.
No. It should be whenever we release this, isn't it?
Yeah. Since this is supposed to be part of the next blog post, which means it should.
Oh, okay, so I'm talking from this. This is a week before we actually released the blog post.
Yeah, so it's very confusing.
Yes,
I mean,
it will be-
Hamish didn't even know
yeah.
what day it was whenever he joined this. He was very confused.
No, I thought there was. Oh, it's only been like a day since the last blog post, hasn't it? Oh wait, no.
But yeah, so we you should be able to, like, the people that signed up for that, they will be getting that demo sent to them by email, hopefully by the time that this
By the time you're hearing this,
yeah. You
Yeah,
should be playing the
extremely
demo
soon
while
after.
check your email now if you haven't already.
You should
and-
to experience the game at its best possible quality. Make sure you play this while playing the demo. But yeah, you should be playing that whenever that releases, and then hopefully in a couple months after that, we'll be releasing our public demo to everyone else. So yeah.
And the public demo is going to be really good, by the way. It's going to be much better than the Wave 2 one. So don't feel too bad if you're missing out on Wave 2. Well, don't worry, because the public demo is going to be really fantastic. So
Yeah, and also like one of the questions we did actually could ask like during the conventions regarding like the demo we are like giving out to people who sign up their email is that like you're more than welcome to like record let's plays about it or like whatever you want about it. Like we don't mind at all, and like we would very much like to actually see that.
yeah.
But like only thing we had the condition was like to like don't spread the actual build around, since like Jamie said, like it's not in perfectly presentable state that we want to spread it to absolutely everyone yet. So for that reason, like we are doing a more limited wave at this time, but you are still free to like record yourself playing it and give your opinions and such.
Obviously, there's nothing that we can actually do to stop you from doing that, but you should feel like a douchebag by doing so. I mean, you're literally pirating something that's free. I mean, come on, that's just messed up.
Well, abetting the piracy of something that is free. You would, if you spread it.
Yeah, I mean that's
You'd be
like,
pirating it if you downloaded said build. Then you'd be pirating.
that's
free.
basically almost as bad as pirating an indie game. I mean, that's still worse because you're actually taking money from those guys, but still. I mean, that's like what the fuck? Man?
It's
Don't
like
be a dick.
it's like literally killing a puppy is what it is essentially.
Not even a puppy. It's like a puppy of a puppy. Which that puppy should not be having a puppy at that age. That's just terrible. But
you're still shouldn't go around and killing that puppy's puppy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's just messed up.
In front of the puppy.
Oh, and stealing its candy. That's like, that's what it is. It's like stealing candy from a puppy. A retarded puppy. A retarded blind death puppy.
Yeah.
That has cancer.
Acutely retarded puppy though. Not like an ugly retarded one, acutely retarded.
The cutest one ever.
Yeah, and that puppy has cancer, and it lives in Holocaust World War II. It's Jewish.
Yeah,
it's Jewish too. And it has a diary.
Anyway, just to move on. The public one is gonna be released in a few months, and like everyone is gonna get access to that, regardless of if you gave us your email or not. But yeah.
I mean, hopefully that will be much more much more well put together.
More betterly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely will aim for that. And regarding like the whole checking your email earlier, from the moment like this podcast and the blog post related to it goes on, like if you don't see the email immediately, well, obviously first check your spam inbox for it. If you still don't see it, like give it a week just in case we run a little late on it or like something else like we didn't.
Well, actually, no. We'll mention in the blog post whether we are running late or not and whether we've sent it. So check the blog post to see if we've actually sent them or not.
Well, yeah,
we'll tell you if we have.
Week is a reasonable thing before you like start emailing us about where is my build and like so like if it's been more than a week and you still haven't received your, even though you did add your email to the list, like then like feel free to email us and like we'll check if your name is on the list, and like if it is and you still haven't gotten it, we'll resend it to you and so on.
Yeah,
just make sure.
Again, it's possible that we've typed out your email wrong. That could be a thing. We've tried not to, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, so that's mostly the case of like if you were giving an email at Galacon, since at that there we improvised it and everyone kind of
and
like
Czequestria as well. Czequestria, we wrote them down on some paper as well. So at BronyCon you typed it, so you're fine. At Galacon Czequestria, that it was written down, so there may be some errors there, but it's unlikely. You should definitely check your spam though, because there'd been some issues with our emails not getting through on some providers. So yeah, definitely check spam.
Yeah.
Just make sure that if we don't get it out and like you have checked your spam and it's not there, that you immediately contact Drag on his Skype account and then send him
his personal Skype account.
Yeah, and make sure you ask him, "Where's my demo?" You should like just go, "Hey, Drag, where's the demo, Drag? Hey, Drag."
Oh, and you should, if you've got some ideas about the game, how you think that the game should run, no matter how ridiculous they are, just send them to Drag. He loves to hear them.
What's that? It should always play on 120 frames per second, regardless of whether or not you're playing on a Windows 98 computer. Absolutely.
On a phone.
Yeah, maybe you don't like how we're doing our weapon sort of handling systems. Why don't you come up with your own idea and send it to Drag? The full 20 pages document. He'll read it all.
What's that? You believe that Steelhost should be replaced with your original character that you devised up on DeviantArt? Sure thing.
These guys always love me so much.
Indeed.
At least it wasn't as bad as Nake, which actually I'm not sure if I told you this story, Hamish, is we had one guy, he was playing the demo and he was really into the demo, like really into the demo. He was like, "Man, how can I show my appreciation for you guys? Can I please give you some money? I can't take any posters, but I would love to just give you guys some money." I'm like, "I'm sorry, we can't take your money, but if you want to show us your appreciation, just give this guy right here, his name is Naka, give him a big hug. Just the biggest hug." And then after that, the guy put on one of those horse masks, like the ones that you get off of like eBay and stuff like that. And then he just freaking throws out his arm. Naka looks at me, he's like, "I fucking hate you." And then he gives the guy a hug.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, there were moments during the convention when I wasn't sure if I should be calling police there just to make sure one of them don't kill each other.
It's a very, very interesting team we got here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, since we actually didn't truly answer any questions, we'll do a quick run through of just some random ones that I quickly see on the forum post. Will there be teleportation? If so, can it be used in combat? Yes, there will be teleportation, and it will be usable in combat. How actually, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the first thing that came to mind whenever we were working on that is the idea of taking like the short-barreled shotgun, teleporting right next to a raider, putting that short barrel up to his temple, and just painting the ground, man. Just painting the ground.
Plus about 3 dozen other scenarios that we thought up within the first 5 minutes.
And that's only the base spell. I know that we talked about in the our magic post that spells would have upgrades, so of course teleportation, which is actually a base spell, would also have upgrades. So there's going to be lots of different
those, and like we are maybe having the base spell and possibly a couple variations by the public release, but don't hold us onto that. We will try, but no promises at this point.
This next question is one that we've answered a lot of times, and was actually one of the first questions that we answered. Will it be possible to fly purely using magic? No, it will not. You will not be able to fly in this game at all. The closest that you would be able to is with the Sky Bandit, and honestly, that won't even be truly flying, and it won't.
You won't be controlling.
Oh,
Yeah.
The question is, will it be possible to fight using purely magic?
Yes.
But that's... You said it's no. You answered
No,
whether
no,
it was
no,
possible
no,
to
it's
fly using magic.
I'm never wrong. Shut
and
up,
the question
Shut up.
says,
No.
will it be possible to fight using purely magic? And the answer is yes.
To be fair, we have had both questions, so like it's still a valid question to answer. But
It's,
yeah, like
it's still a valid question.
yeah,
but
like
yes.
when it comes to fighting with only magic, yes, most definitely. Like there were like lots of people who were doing that, like at the convention as well. So
Whenever we were actually developing our magic system, we actually made a point to have a certain balance between what we call support, offensive, and defensive spells. Offensive ones are ones that can only really be used offensively, such as like the magic missile, which is just a projectile spell. Then there are the support ones, which are the say the healing and all that. There are actually some that will turn that to your advantage and not just be purely a defensive spell. But yeah, and then there are even the purely defensive ones, which are the shield spell, which again, those could actually be turned into offensive spells, which we actually mentioned before.
And then there are mines that can basically be whichever depends on how you use them, and lots of other cool stuff.
Let's see what
Well, there's a bunch of questions here at the end which I can sort of whip through. What will happen if someone dies while you were talking to them or shopping? They will just fall down, and then you will continue on.
They will die. They will die.
Yeah, they will.
People
they will
die when they are killed.
Yeah, the game won't break or anything like that. I mean, hopefully. Is hacking going to be like the Hangman game in Fallout 3 in New Vegas? We don't know. We haven't actually designed that yet. In fact, Zach doesn't know this, but me and Drag had
I did mention it to Jack. I did mention it to Jack, but I never went into details about it because I never found the time to actually type out the full idea and fresh.
Yeah, I asked him to explain it to me, and he's like, "No."
Well, me and Drag will come up with something. And obviously, to everyone listening, they have no idea what we're talking about, but it's a pretty damn cool idea. That I'm very
we'll see how it goes on, and
about.
once we have decided on that and implemented Impossible and so on, you'll hear more about it. But we have some ideas for the hacking system.
Yes.
Since using a pitbuck is not paused, will eating half a dozen snack cakes be animated? No, it won't.
Are you going to be able to pick up ponies or make everyone freeze where they are? Pick up ponies is, I believe, an option in the telekinesis spell. It's a pretty high level upgrade, I believe.
Yeah, and there will also it's not going to be simple on and off kind of thing. It is actually gonna be, if I recall, reliant on your magic skill and the opponent's strength. So you won't be able to if you.
Well, not only that. It takes into account a lot of different variables. Like you said, the your telekinesis skill, which would just be the magic. Then there is the enemy's strength. Then there's actually the weight of the enemy, which we would give a specific value of weight to just a generic pony, plus the weight of their armor. Then we would have it where it also takes into account how much you're moving them around and so on and so forth. Physics and velocity.
Yeah, basically what it comes down to, yes, you are able to pick up ponies, but even if you are able to pick up at that puny raider that is completely butt naked, you might not be able to pick up a fully beefed up steel ranger and just throw them around carelessly.
Yeah, not to mention
and there is a difference between picking them up and actually being able to do other than lift them a few centimeters.
Yeah, not to mention we would probably also have a few things to sort of take into the account as if they were moving around or kind of flailing and kind of resisting your magic, I guess you could say. Some sort of ways to make it not just super simple, because to be completely fair, most of us have all played Skyrim and we've seen how overpowered the Fusro Da is. I mean, you just find someone that is on a slight incline, knock them over, and they are dead, because I mean, you get falling damage and they fall far enough, and obviously don't die. So even if you can only lift them off a few inches off the ground, you could just, move them over to a ledge and kill them. So, yeah, just lifting them up would obviously be a pretty powerful thing to do. So there's going to be a lot of different mechanics going into whether or not you can actually do that.
Yeah, that being said, if you dedicate your skills enough towards that, you will definitely make good use of it.
Yeah, we definitely took into account the specialized characters, the ones that want to do one thing in particular, but do it the best. As they say, a person with skills and everything is just a jack of all trades, and the jack of all trades, master of...
Jack of all trades, master of none is the phrase you're looking for.
That words.
Yeah. And anyway, the next question,
yes. Well, freezing everyone in place isn't going to be a thing.
Well, I mean, I guess it comes down to what exactly you mean by freezing in place. I mean, if you mean...
As in, like an area of effect spell that causes, version of telekinesis or whatever, that causes everyone to not be able to move.
There are something related to that, but not as such, but details to follow.
Details pending.
Now, if you're talking about, a freeze ray...
No.
Even that's
Yeah, no, it's like a stasis spell, I think is what he's talking about. I mean,
more in the future about that, but anyway, will the story start from where the fix started? Yes, it will start from Stable 2 and...
Well, technically, it starts a little bit further than that, technically. We had to, the fact is that you start out in Stable 2 right off the bat, and you pretty much... if we were following the story word for word,
we'll tell details about that later on. There is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly to the day, but it's the same sort of time.
Yeah, it's still, but it comes down to it's the story and the game starts in Stable 2, and the rest you will learn later.
You will be Little Pip in Stable 2. That's the most important part. And this one,
but you will. Yeah, will you be able to hear Little Pip swear? No, because you won't be able to hear her voice.
Yeah.
If you want more information on that, there is a brilliant blog post, one of the early ones, Branches of the Conversation Tree, which explains about how we're going for the sort of Fallout and Skyrim, Elder Scrolls type style, rather than, say, the Mass Effect style.
Yeah, and just to point it out for, since a lot of people are more probably aware of it, we are also well aware that Fallout 4 is having fully voiced protagonist, but we don't think that's the right way to go for us or fits the style we are looking for. But there will still, if I recall, there will be grunts and stuff like that. You will be the player character will be saying if they get shot and so on, but there won't be any dialogue as such.
Right. Will you be able to take things from your main, like Pinky, maybe when you're high with PTMs?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I
mean, you can imagine yourself doing it. You can imagine yourself, but you won't actually see any animations or anything like that.
Yeah.
Although, actually, to be fair, I mean, those guns have to come from somewhere. I mean, they just kind of spawn out of nowhere, so I mean... There's that. Yeah,
you can imagine them coming either from your saddlebag or your hair if you so wish.
Or other unmentionable places as well.
Yeah, something that is not suitable for this podcast.
Well, I mean, we've already sweared a lot. I wouldn't say it's not suitable, but it's not something that we want to talk about.
You have sweared a lot.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm shut up.
Anyway.
Will you be able to hear ponies just bursting into song?
I'm going to stop you right there.
Drop of the hat.
No, you will not. Because the fact is that even though the show does that, there's a big ass difference between the show and Fallout Czequestria. There's even a whole big point in the story about how
it's not even that, but having it do a whole song sequences in the open world game is kind of not so easy. There will be sequences where someone might be singing, Velvet maybe, but there won't be any musical numbers like you see in the show.
And for the latest question about the podcast, we are currently recording it right now.
We are.
So there's your news about the podcast.
Yeah,
And
like,
I think
that's
that's a pretty
probably
good
all
time
the
to
questions we have. Like have time to cover this time. I
Yeah.
think we are going almost 1.5 hours now for the podcast.
Yeah.
So like other ones will be covering on a later podcast. But yeah, like I said before, post them on our forums or preferably on the forums, but also in the comments, and we'll try to cover as many of them as we reasonably can.
Or Drag's personal Skype, of course.
I
Yes.
hate you.
That's the best place.
Just search Dragmeister on Skype. It's really easy to find him.
Yeah. Oh, he has even a YouTube video or YouTube account. You should go onto his YouTube account and give him like a lot of views on his stuff. Does he?
Well, that's not actually even necessary because I didn't actually know this when I first met him, but Drag has actually done like some of the most popular PMVs for a lot of songs.
No, not
and
even remotely.
No idea.
You don't even know the.
He did the video for Breaking Bonds, that really cool sort of multi-genre song that a bunch of people did. He did the video for that. That was really good. I had no idea that he did that. But yeah.
Regardless.
Drag's blushing. I made a picture one time. Yeah. There's that.
Well, look at me. I do programming. No one cares about programming.
But everyone
Obviously,
cares when there isn't programming.
Well, obviously that's not true, because Drag was sitting there gathering a crowd whenever he was programming at the convention. So that's
that's actually I'd love to do that.
That's what you need to do. Like next convention, we'll get you a computer. You'll sit there, have a little monitor of your own, and you can just program the game while like 30 people watch you.
I would honestly really love that. That would be really cool.
Con season 2016, we won't be having a playable demo of the game anywhere. We'll just have Hamish coding.
You'll watch Hamish build the demo for like the public release. It won't actually.
And the thing is, I won't even need to. I won't even need, because I talk to myself. I'm basically insane. I talk to myself just generally when I code. So it's like I won't even need to change my habits. So, yeah.
He also randomly hums. We'll be in calls
and
he'll just start humming randomly.
Yeah, sometimes we are pretty certain he's possessed, but no one has been able to confirm that.
Yeah, anyways.
We'd probably better sign off, I think. It's getting quite long.
Again, leave comments in either the comment section or on our forums. It's better that you do it on the forums. And, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see you in the next blog post and the podcast. And just as before we sign off, like as a quick shout out to both Legend of Czequestria people and Stable Tech Studios, which we
check them out if you haven't already.
And also, actually, something I completely forgot, and I apologize for that. At Galacon, we did also meet up with the horse games people as well.
Oh yeah.
Of course we did. Yes. Yeah. Very, very briefly. I don't think I've talked to them
they were at the lunch with us.
Yeah, but I think I didn't get a chance to chat.
Yeah, like we were about. There was like dozen people, so we were all spread around, so not everyone talked to everyone. But yeah, shout out to them as well, and so sorry for forgetting to mention you earlier.
So, with that, we will sign off. So, see you around, guys.
Toodles.
Have a good day.